What's going on, everybody? This is Steve from AltCoin Buzz, and I've got a follow-up video for you guys today. This is about Litecoin, so if you follow us regularly, you'll know that I talked about the upcoming LitePay project roughly a week ago, and this is a follow-up video because LitePay was announced earlier this morning, February 26th. If you are listening to us and watching us for the first time, go ahead and subscribe to us. Hit the bell next to that for notifications. You guys can also check out AltCoin Buzz on Twitter. We're at AltCoinBuzzIO on Twitter. And we're also on Instagram, pretty much like the same thing as Twitter, but a little bit cooler. We're at AltCoin Buzz on Instagram. Make sure you check that spelling, though. There have been scammers out there pretending to be us because they hate us when they ain't us. And that's not cool. So, LitePay. Today could have been a big day, and unfortunately, let's take a look at the market for Litecoin. It is the only coin in the top 10 that actually had a day in the red. So 24 hours is down 4%. Not to say that some of the other coins like Cardano barely skated by the skin of their teeth, but there certainly were better gains if you're looking at things like Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, and NEO. And this whole down 4%, up 6% between Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash certainly will make Charlie Lee's concept of the flappening a little bit harder to obtain, although it could be possible that sometime this year, market capitalization, Litecoin could potentially pass Bitcoin Cash. Charlie Lee's very optimistic, despite having sold off his Litecoin so he could become unbiased. He is optimistic that at some point Litecoin should exceed the market capitalization of Bitcoin, which is currently Litecoin at a $12 billion market capitalization and Bitcoin Cash at a $21 billion market capitalization. And his logic, and part of it, or at least part of his logic, is that Litecoin, yes, should go up, and he believes that Bitcoin Cash will actually come down and sort of meet him halfway. So he's not necessarily claiming that Litecoin should see a $22 billion market capitalization, but anything's certainly possible. So if we take a look a little bit further, today could have been a really big day with the launch of Litecoin, but there's a little bit of disappointment that let some of the excitement out of the sales. So earlier this morning, prior to getting a lot of information, the market on Litecoin actually was up about 10% day over day. And then now we're looking at the finishing out the day at roughly, now it's less than 4%, so it might actually end up trading somewhat flat for today. So if we take a look, we look at the one-day chart, rolling, there we go. So we started off the day at 230, and right now we're sitting at just under 220 at about 219. So this is something that you should take a look at, though, is that Litecoin Foundation, this is the bummer for the day. So despite the fact that, yes, LitePay launched and that retailers and businesses can sign up for LitePay, let's show you that real quick first. So you can get started with Litecoin payments. You can now sign up, which really just means give them your email address. It's presumable that you'll get some more information from them at a later date in order to be able to accept Litecoin. And then this whole fabled card system. So boo. This is what sucks today. So we'll hold out hope that this will resurface. Obviously, they haven't sidelined it completely. They're just choosing not to accept registrations for the Litecoin card today. So here's their official tweet. A screenshot of it, at least from here. It says that, thanks for your interest in LitePay. Registration for merchant payment processing accounts will open today, which it has. So due to recent hostile actions by card issuers towards crypto companies, so this isn't a jab at Litecoin in particular, just all crypto companies with MasterCard and Visa merchants or banks deciding to be really harsh and crack down on cryptocurrencies, they have decided that offering a LitePay card registration at this time would be imprudent. So they're saying it's not very tasteful, that they'd probably rather see a more conducive environment for cryptocurrencies and card issuers at this time. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes between Visa and the LitePay Foundation or anything like that. I'm not even going to try to jump into it because it's probably nothing more than a business call, which could be perceived as a smart business choice on the LitePay side because you'd hate to see it flop. So are they better off? Comment below if you think that they're better off holding off until the weather's a little bit better and then doing it right, or at least what they think is right. Or do you think it's actually a sign of something bad in regards to the LitePay card? I don't see personally how that could really be the case. Or maybe you have another idea. I'd like to hear that below too. But I don't personally see how the LitePay card wouldn't be a reality with other cards like 10x and things like that already sort of on the way. LitePay isn't necessarily something that's groundbreaking, earth-shattering. BitPay's been out for like 7 years-ish. So LitePay is essentially just an improved upon copy of BitPay, much in the same way that Litecoin is an improved upon copy of Bitcoin. So it's just that it's going to have less fees, it's going to trade faster, going to take a matter of like 2.5 minutes, which should eventually speed up. Could even be less, but it's certainly not the 30-minute block times that Bitcoin has been kind of known for the last few months. And then also at 1%. So 1% is essentially the fee that a merchant will pay to receive a deposit of fiat currency into their bank account, supposedly within 24 hours from Litecoin. So you go ahead to your favorite merchant, they accept Litecoin, they'll get a fiat deposit into their checking account through the LitePay system. Although I did see that you would be able to also pay in Litecoin. Maybe it's actually up to the merchant whether they just want to be able to immediately convert that into a fiat currency for the sake of stability. Because yes, although giving you a 1% transaction fee is a good idea compared to 3 to 4.5% or whatever they may be paying for various cards from Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and whatnot. But if they're taking a 1% fee and then handing you a volatile currency that let's say I go in this morning and I spend it at 10 a.m. when the market's up 10%, and then you go and you need to cash that out, and now the market's down 4%, but it's really down more than 4% from when it was up 10%. So, down roughly a quick math of 14%, although I realize that's not accurate. So as a merchant, you'd have been better off taking a credit card payment. So it's really like without that stability of being able to get instantaneous fiat resolved at the time that the transaction took place, it's not very stable for most merchants unless those merchants happen to like cryptocurrencies. So you might see some merchants jumping on the bandwagon. I don't have any stats yet on how many merchants have actually signed up for this program. That would be a key stat, and I'm not saying that the Litecoin Foundation hasn't released that information yet, but I just haven't personally seen it. But that would show some success if they actually get some sort of early adoption of merchants who are willing to accept Litecoin. We had just seen where, Stripe and some of the other credit card merchants had just stopped accepting Bitcoin like a month or so ago. And that was sort of a jab in Bitcoin on its way down. Not only was it declining in value, so it seems like they only loved it when the market was going up, which, so to be true, a lot of people on this channel were sticking around only when the market was up, and we're getting a lot more viewers across YouTube in general, more searches. If you look at Google Trends, the search trends for Bitcoin, Litecoin, any type of cryptocurrency are certainly down by sometimes down to 10% of their previous volume. So right now, it's more of the people who are genuinely interested in it that are in the marketplace. And I think given with that current sentiment, we shouldn't really be seeing that many merchants who are either A, aware of the fact that LitePay even exists, or B, are really genuinely interested in cryptocurrency and believe in it as an up and up scenario. Had LitePay been something that launched in late November 2017, early December 2017, it would have gone gangbusters with registrations early on, as merchants would have been clamoring for the idea of trying to get your $50 and $75 Litecoins as payment, not necessarily knowing that it was going to go to 300 plus or settle in the $200 range, but I think that there would have just been an overall more appetite for cryptocurrency as a form of payment. So we need to definitely keep showing our support. If you haven't signed up for LitePay but you're holding Litecoin, go ahead and definitely create your wallet, sign up to get notifications on when their card comes out. Even if you're looking at doing the old classic hodling with your Litecoin, or you just want to do it for a long-term investment, it still probably won't hurt to have that Visa card, although some could say that that could be something else that opens you up to a potential fraudulent transaction, since they'd be able to get you through the 16 digits in the more traditional method. You might actually be sacrificing some of that security that you have with the blockchain and cryptocurrency. So that's another thing to kind of consider. But let's take a look here. Also, one more thing about Litecoin, and this is why I think that in addition to the 1% saving, or the 1% fee that merchants will pay instead of their normal transaction fees from credit and debit cards, this now means that transactions paid to merchants can't be charged back. And chargeback fraud is huge. I've operated a small business for a number of years with another business partner of mine, and last year we saw a sharp increase in credit card fraud. And we actually had people that came into the business that we knew that had committed credit card fraud. And it's not that they were using somebody else's credit card. It's that after they had made their transaction, and they were significant transactions in both cases, significant at least for the scale of that business, you know, $3,500, $4,800 roughly for each of the two scams that stood out. So they had purchased some of our biggest products that were there in the store, and they had the trust of the fact that we knew them face to face. At least at that time, you know, we had seen them before and done smaller transactions with them. Well, they took the goods and services with them and then went back and claimed that they never got them with their credit card company. So we had to fight those guys. And long story short, I guess we ended up losing and lost about $7,000 to $8,000 plus really small legal fees, because we did go to small claims court against both the plaintiffs. So we lost like another $100 and something in total for filing court fees that really did nothing for us. But that's the pain that all businesses go through. But if you can imagine what it does to a small business could be something where every month the business owner is essentially keeping the lights on, living paycheck to paycheck in their personal life just to keep their business afloat. Where I've seen where some of my peers or some of my friends that own their own small businesses have even taken to kind of at rough times living within their business, you know, in the back office or something like that, and not admitting that to their customers because they wanted to be able to keep the business afloat rather than their apartment or wherever they were living. And it makes sense because you can't necessarily quit your day job, but that's a long story to digress from identity theft and chargeback fraud. But that is definitely one of the other hooks and one of the other unsung heroes and benefits of being able to accept a payment like LitePay. Now, all of that being said, LitePay is never going to be unique in the sense of being able to be a person-to-business or peer-to-peer cryptocurrency. It's essentially from day one an improved upon copy of Bitcoin. Shamelessly, they don't try to hide it, you know, but it's just another way that Litecoin becomes a valid currency. Not to say it wasn't before, but it just gives it more of a commonplace medium. So stay tuned for what's going to come out and about with it. It still could be a big game changer for Litecoin overall, and I'm personally optimistic about it. But this is never financial advice. We just speak, you know, person to person as if we're two people at a bar. And it's peer-to-peer information. We speak for entertainment purposes and to get our own thoughts out there. And we love communicating with you guys here in the community. Now, going back to the flippening, this is where Charlie Lee had tweeted. He's at Satoshi Light on Twitter. Not affiliated with him, not a plug, but just letting you guys know if you did want to follow him, you can follow him at Satoshi Light on Twitter. So he said the flippening, which is Ethereum becoming greater than Bitcoin, he said will never happen. So he actually thinks that even though a lot of people are optimistic about Ethereum overtaking Bitcoin, he doesn't personally think that'll ever happen. That would certainly do something to him, considering he's got the silver to Bitcoin, and if Bitcoin takes a backseat to Ethereum, then Litecoin would essentially potentially take a hit too. But it says that the flappening, and maybe this has something to do with the fact that he's changed his Twitter profile to like a chicken of some sort, and it's like Chicken Little or something like that. But he's saying that definitely this year the flappening will happen, and the flappening is his idea of when Litecoin will overtake Bitcoin Cash. So he also strongly cautions not to send anybody money or Litecoin. Don't give them your addresses if they're claiming to be Charlie Lee. He says he's not giving away any Litecoin. Probably can believe him on that, because if he was, I'm sure he'd say he was. You could also check out another video that Jeff had done where people were sending their addresses to fake accounts trying to be Justin Sun from Tron, something to that effect. So there's a lot of scams out there, not just scam coins, right? Those are still out there presumably, but there are a lot of people out there still trying to take advantage of people in the cryptocurrency space. Now, not to say Litecoin Cash is essentially people trying to take advantage of those out there in the cryptocurrency space, because I don't know people on that project per se. I would like to get to know the people at Dash as a side note. I realize that they're actually located out of Scottsdale, Arizona, which is right up my neighborhood. So if you guys know anybody from Dash, go ahead and have them reach out to the channel. I'd like to do a face-to-face interview or some kind of interview to spice things up here on this channel on a weekend or whenever, or maybe just do a tour of their facilities in Scottsdale, Arizona. That would be cool. But back to the topic, Charlie Lee said that Litecoin Cash is not an official fork supported by the Litecoin Foundation. So you can rest assured that that's probably truth, that Litecoin Cash is most likely not an official fork. So it's not like when the core developers for Bitcoin come up with a Bitcoin fork or anything of that sort. So he's saying it's a scam, and it's people out there trying to create confusion out there in the crypto sphere and take advantage of people who are optimistic about Litecoin. And that could very well be true, or it could just be another group of people out there who are going to provide another competitive product, and he may not like it. So take it with a grain of salt. I personally tend to lean towards his rulings, but again, I'm no expert in that field. Comment below what else you'd like us to talk about. I think it's time we start talking about some more emerging coins out there. Not to get them all pumped up, but really just to highlight some of the tech behind them, talk about some of the teams. Any new ICOs in particular you guys are looking forward to? I know that there's some that I've been looking forward to getting off of all the banner ads all over the internet. It seems like they come in spurts and hound you for like 2 to 4 weeks at any given time, and it's like you see nothing but those particular ICOs. What were some of the more annoying ones that you saw that you got tired of? And what was actually one, if you invested in one, did you ever invest in one simply because of the display ad or the YouTube pre-roll? Comment and let me know what you think it is. Like, what was it about that ad that made you look at the coin first? Because I hope you looked into the coin and then ultimately sign up for it. This is Steve from AltCoin Buzz. Chat at you guys later.